Now, people back in Joshua's day didn't have the Bible as we have it today. They had the law of Moses in front of them, but it's the same. It's a commitment to his truth. And so what difference will we make? It depends on what? I want to add something to it. Are we committed to grace and truth? Are we committed to grace and truth? In John chapter 1, John describes it this way. He says, Jesus came to this earth full of grace and full of truth. 100% full of grace, 100% full of truth. Right? And that's this place. That's this place that we want to be here at DCC. That's why grace and truth is one of our 6 core values in this place. All grace, all truth, all the time. 100% grace, 100% truth all the time. Not some weird combination or formula or mixture of the two that's more comfortable for us. Let's face it, let's be honest about this. In most of our church experiences, churches tend to lean heavily one way or the other. You want to know why that is? I'm going to tell you, because grace or truth is easier than grace and truth. It's a lot easier. And so you like being a part of this Me Too place here? Don't you like this Me Too thing here? Can I tell you one of the biggest challenges and dangers of being a Me Too place? Me Too has a tendency to lean a little bit more towards grace and acceptance and can be very easily misinterpreted or misunderstood. And so I want to make sure we're clear on this, okay? Me Too has never been and will never be a license to sin, right? The goal is to become more like Jesus. Not to be totally sinless, we'll never be that, but to sin less as we go on the journey. So it's never, the Me Too's never been that. It hasn't. Me Too's never been about continuing to do things that you know don't line up with the heart of God and the plan He has for your life. It's not about that. Me Too's never been about anything goes or just do what you want, ask for forgiveness, God will forgive you. Is that true? Yes, He'll forgive you. Will there be grace? Of course there'll be grace, but that's not Me Too. Me Too is, wait a minute, you got some jacked up stuff in your story? Wait a minute, you're absolutely and completely hopeless without the love, forgiveness, and grace of Jesus? Yeah, me too. That is the Me Too culture that's been established in this place. Now, can I tell you why I think that's so important, why we think it's so important? Here's why. Because the church, capital C church, has never had a problem knowing and teaching truth. Never. Never been a problem in the church. You walk out here today, if you could catch a service somewhere else in town, 350 churches here. I know a lot of the guys that lead them. They're good churches. I guarantee you're going to hear truth. You walk in. Most churches around. You're going to walk in there, you're going to hear some truth. The church has never had a problem knowing and teaching truth. You know what our problem has been and continues to be? We can't keep people in the seats long enough to hear it. That's our problem. We can't. Why? Because they don't feel accepted. They don't feel welcome. And they don't feel safe. And they don't feel comfortable, and they're made to feel alien or like they're outsiders. They feel judged and condemned. And so the beauty of Me Too is it enables us to establish common ground with people to say, hey, what do we have in common right out of the gate rather than immediately focusing on how we are different? That's the beauty of Me Too. See, here's what you got to understand. Grace paves the way for truth. And nobody, you look at the Bible, nobody understood this or lived it out like Jesus did. Nobody. Stu was here, 2 weeks ago. Stu Davis from Springs Rescue, our partner, and he taught the story in John chapter 4 of the woman at the well. And Jesus encounters this Samaritan woman. You think about that story. Even if you don't know, let me tell you how it went. Grace, 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 truth. That's how Jesus handled her heart. Right? You talk about John chapter 8, the woman caught in adultery, one of my favorite stories in the Bible. You know why? Because it's my story. How'd Jesus handle her heart? The Pharisees threw her at His feet. They're ready to kill her, to crash her head in with stones. And Jesus, here's how He handled her. Grace, 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 truth. He healed a lame man. Healed him way before He ever talked to him about his sin issue. He healed a blind man. Exact same story. Jesus lived this stuff out. Unlimited grace and uncompromising truth. All right, now here's our problem. We limit grace and we compromise truth. We have grace limits in the church, right? Yeah, these sins all fall under grace. That one, whoa, not so much. Really? And we limit grace and we what? We compromise truth. Now, here's the thing. God created us. He knows that. You know what else He knows? He knows He's getting ready to send His chosen people in to clash with various cultures that are going to put pressure on them to compromise truth. Right? I mean, He's like, they come in, it's like, you worship what? An unseen God? How about that one? It's a naked woman God. Isn't she better? This is this pressure, right? You're going to compromise truth. So they're going to, his people, he's sending them in to encounter a culture that's going to pressure them to compromise truth. Does that sound familiar? That's the world that we live in. And God loves them and he loves us enough to say this, look, don't adjust my truth to fit your life. It is so easy and so tempting to do that. I struggle with that, don't you? I mean, I read the parts of the Bible, that's easy, right? Yeah, I can do that, I can do that, I can do that. Ooh, that one? I think I'll work around that one. And God says, no, listen. Don't adjust my truth to fit your life. You need to adjust your life to fit my truth. The question I have for you is, are we doing that?